First on 9 News at 4 today, we begin in Thornton, where police shot someone that they say is a suspect in a homicide case.
This happened at 136th Avenue and Washington Street. This is near Thorn Creek Golf Course, and that is where 9 News reporter Noel Brennan is live for us this afternoon. And Noel, you spoke with some people who live nearby the scene.
We did, Jenny. So right now, police officers, I can tell you, they're right in the middle of the driving range at Thorn Creek Golf Course, right behind us. In fact, there's yellow police tape that's attached to some of the yardage markers out here. North Glen police tell us that officers from North Glen and Thornton were involved in the shooting of this person they're calling a homicide suspect. How exactly everything happened here at the golf course, we're still waiting to learn those details, but here's what we know so far. So North Glen police, they tweeted about this just after noon today. The shooting, they say, happened at 136th Avenue and Washington Street. The suspect was taken to the hospital with serious injuries. No officers were hurt. We spoke to a couple that lives across the street from the golf course today. They tell us that they saw the shooting happen. Kevin Green says he saw police officers chase a man in a white shirt across the driving range. Here's what he says happened when officers surrounded the man.
That this guy just turned around and he pointed a gun, and at least pointed the gun. I don't know who shot again, but 6 or 7 shots went off and that guy went down.
So North Glen police tell us again that this person is a homicide suspect, but Jenny, we don't know anything about this homicide that they have referenced. They do say that a press release will be coming out soon, so of course when we learn more of those details, we're going to pass those along. Sure,
and again, really curious why this happened on a golf course, not a place you often see things like this happening. Noel Brennan reporting for us. Thank you, Noel.
Absolutely not.
We are also learning more about what happened in Loveland this week when police shot a man they say was armed with a knife. The man's family's attorney says there is more to this story. Alex Domina is 19 years old, and his family says he suffers from severe developmental disability and lives with his grandmother. The family attorney says he was experiencing a mental health crisis and his grandmother called police for help. Family members hoped police could help calm him down. Instead, the attorney says police shot him multiple times.
It's an incredible tragedy in our society when our 911 first responders cause so much more harm than they solve. And no family should ever have the fear that when they call 911 for help, what's going to end up happening is that their loved one is going to be shot 3 times.
Newman says Alex was seriously hurt. He has had 3 surgeries and still unable to breathe on his own. Loveland police say the critical incident response team has now taken over this investigation. We have reached out to law enforcement trying to get more information about what police say happened in this case, and they have not yet responded.
It's a night one witness said he has tried not to think about for 3 years, the night his friend Demetrius Shankling took his last breath on his own, after 2 Boulder County deputies transported him to a detox center. After nearly 2 years of pandemic delays, the trial for those deputies began this morning. 9 News reporter Katie Eastman is live at Boulder County Court with more. Katie?
Yeah, Kim, in opening statements this morning, the prosecution laid out what happened and argued that those 2 deputies should have known better when they let a drunk 23-year-old lie face down and handcuffed in a small compartment in the back of their van for 16 minutes and 2 seconds. The defense, they blamed the managers of the police and sheriff's departments because of those extra patrols, back-to-school patrols at CU Boulder, saying that they were unprepared and they left those officers on the line unprepared and unorganized.
Nearly 3 years ago, a 23-year-old was walking home with friends after celebrating his birthday when he sat down in the grass at 9th and Canyon in Boulder. Body camera footage played in court by the defense shows an officer stopping and deciding the man was too drunk to go home and needed to be transported to a detox center. Detectives would later learn his blood alcohol content was .352. Video shows Demetrius Shankling, or Debo as his friends and family call him, handcuffed and put in the back of this transport van face first by 2 Boulder County deputies. Adam Lunn and James O'Brien are seen leaning against the door of the van to try to shut it. The defense says Shankling was pushing back with his feet. The prosecution says the 6-foot-tall man was too big to be lying in the 4-foot-9-inch compartment. When the deputies arrived at the detox center, Shankling wasn't breathing. A forensic pathologist called his cause of death positional asphyxia, with alcohol and amphetamines contributing. That means Shankling didn't have enough oxygen going to his brain based on the way he was positioned. In opening statements, the defense attorney said Lunn and O'Brien had never driven a transport van and were not trained on how to use it. But the district attorney's office is adamant the deputies did have training on how to avoid positional asphyxia, and they should have known better than to keep a drunk man lying on his stomach for 16 minutes and 2 seconds.
And in court today, Shankling's mom threw her hands up in the air as she watched that video of deputies putting her son in the back of that transport van. Neither Lunn or O'Brien are currently in custody. They are both charged with manslaughter, and if found guilty, they could face 2 to 6 years in prison. Kim?
A case that over time, I think we had forgotten some of the details, and I know there's going to be more to come in the days ahead, and the defense as well. Thanks, Katie.
The Dixie Fire, that is the one burning near California-Nevada state lines, is the largest in the nation. It has burned more than 626,000 acres, or nearly 980 square miles. And this is just since it started 6 weeks ago. That fire is currently about 31% contained and continuing to burn through dry conditions in Northern California. The Dixie Fire is the largest of nearly 100 major wildfires burning across the western U.S. Back here in Denver, we're on smoke and haze watch. Once again, Kathy is in the Weather Center with a first look at your forecast, and I'm really hoping that we're coming to an end of this. Maybe.
We've got a big change in the weather pattern. A very fall-like storm will be arriving tomorrow, and there is the chance that we'll see a light dusting of snow above 12,000 feet, possibly maybe by midday Friday or into early Saturday morning. So certainly some colder air and enough wind to mix out, well, some of this, what we're seeing, the smoke and haze. So let's go out. Air quality alert out today, mainly for ozone. Winds are pretty gusty out of the south, driving any thunderstorms quickly to the north of us. Smoke and haze, the heaviest of which moving into Utah. We're seeing a thinning of the smoke and an improvement in air quality with the arrival of one front on Thursday morning and a second weather disturbance on Thursday night. Air quality alerts will be scaled back from many areas as we move through the overnight time period, and kind of areas off to the west, which have seen the worst of the smoke and haze, are now dealing with the potential for flooding and mudslides. In Utah, that is a severe thunderstorm watch in blue. Western Colorado, a flash flood watch, and we're watching the Larimer County area for a flash flood warning near the Pingree Park area with a half an inch to about an inch of rain that's already fallen. Glenwood Springs, that I-70 corridor, Glenwood Canyon, also some fast-moving thunderstorms going through there, and it doesn't take much to get that ground to move. So we're monitoring that very closely. A couple of thunderstorms trying to develop around Bennett and Byers, moving quickly to the north, non-severe storms. So all eyes on Larimer County between now and about 6:15 with the threat of maybe a little bit of flooding in that area. Storm movement is pretty quick today. That's the good news, but there's a lot more water coming as that front approaches from the northwest and winds increase out of the southwest. I don't know that Denver's going to get into much of that action tonight, but tomorrow the chance for rain, which could be heavy at times, and a big drop in temperature, 10 to 15 degrees cooler for many areas. Something I'll cover in Maine weather in just a few minutes.
Okay, I don't think we'll complain about a lot cooler. No. If we can get clearer skies, we'll say whatever, it happens.
It looks good on all fronts. It absolutely does, yeah.
All right, thanks, Kathy.
Anyone who is hoping to hike Hanging Lake will just have to wait a little longer, likely until next year at this point. New photos are showing us just how bad that damage really was to the popular trail near Glenwood Springs. Officials with the White River National Forest told us today the recent mudslides have completely changed the terrain there. And in order to reconstruct that trail, it now has to stay closed for the foreseeable future.
We've had numerous bridges damaged. We've had bridges completely washed out, and much of the trail as you go up is under a debris field. This is not a minor trail reroute or something like that. It's really a complete reconstruction that's needed.
So here's the good news. Hanging Lake itself did not suffer serious damage. Despite the mudslides turning that beautiful emerald green water a dark murky brown, the fish survived and the water's starting to clear up. This trail got so popular it had a reservation system, and 15,000 people had reservations before this closure. They will be getting refunds.
Soon, people who are fully vaccinated against COVID-19 may need another shot, and that's according to the Biden administration today. Citing 3 different studies, the White House says, like many vaccines, the COVID-19 shots appear to be less effective over time. So starting next month, those who have gotten Pfizer or Moderna shots will be encouraged to get a booster shot 8 months after their second dose.
This will boost your immune response. It will increase your protection from COVID-19. And it's the best way to protect ourselves from new variants that could arise.
If federal regulators approve, the booster shots will be available starting September 20th. This guidance only applies to those who got Pfizer and Moderna. Federal officials are looking at the data from those who got the Johnson & Johnson shot, and they're looking into developing a booster shot program for that vaccine in the next few weeks.